What's up, everyone? It's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, which means you're tuning in to Cannabis Legalization News. I'm producer Lauren, and today we're going to be speaking with Thomas Carnival, the COO of Umbrella Technologies. They're helping a lot of cannabis businesses set up their security systems and map out their security plans. So we're going to be speaking with him in a few minutes. But first, we're going to get into a little bit of cannabis news. So what's going on, Miggy and Tom?
Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Lauren, how was it? Man, Miggy, did you see the application come out yesterday for Illinois?
Well, you guys certainly have a shit show ahead of you, but how about the Safe Banking Act right after we got done talking?
Safe Banking Act. Wow, that was something that was totally buried last Thursday because what was Donald Trump doing?
Tweeting and bitching?
He's being a very Donald Trump. I think that was probably when that whole Ukraine thing blew up in his face right before he got his butt impeached. But yes, the Safe Banking Act, and it passed by a lot. It was like 2 out of 3 Congress people or congressional representatives voted for it. So like I think its final vote was 300 something to 100 something. And now Congress is on break for a little bit. They're back at home in their districts to talk about if they should or should not impeach Donald Trump. But that was awesome. It's the most successful cannabis bill ever out of the legislature, and hopefully we'll have one of its authors, its principal author, on the show, or one of these things that I'll do some weekend when I get him, just to interview him. He's a lawyer from out east, and he was talking about the next steps in it, and now the Senate needs to pick it up. And so after the Senate picks it up, whether or not it'll have a full vote and how it'll get passed, or if it's going to get marked up by another committee. So we'll see. But hopefully by next year, it's safe to bank cannabis. Maybe by the time those dispensary applications are being awarded next May in 2020, the Safe Banking Act might be the law of the land.
Now, because it's in limbo still technically, right? It's not approved. And let's say this impeachment does go through. I mean, is there a way to pass this law without a president's signature? Is there a way to get this through?
No, there really isn't. I mean, like, that's the thing. He actually absolutely needs to sign it, whether or not it gets slipped into some budget and he signs a larger budget like he did with the Farm Bill. And I think that's how it was actually passed, because there's all this funding that kind of goes on through the continued resolutions, which I think we're in now because it's October 2nd. But yeah, man. So it looks like that might not be coming for a little bit. We're booking the guy. It's just that he's between firms right now, so trying to keep it a little on the down low.
Yeah,
so he's back and settled. But the real big news was, Illinois came out with a disproportionately impacted area map. It wasn't just the and here I can share my screen really quickly if I just blow this up. Whenever I say that, famous last words, of course.
Was it the same map that was leaked?
Yeah, it was leaked to me on Friday, but then they actually did finally put it up yesterday. So they do have the disproportionate map here, and then that takes you out to this, and that's it. I mean, well, I guess we're having a lot of bandwidth issues. It's second day, so now I guess people know that it's there. But these little blue dots all over Illinois, those are the disproportionately impacted areas.
Wow.
And then if we go back, you also have the 75 licenses. So these are the 75 license areas. Now look at this. Wrap your brain around this. All right. Look at this one that says 3 here and see how it's blue.
Yeah.
All right. Look at this Livingston County right here. Let me just zoom in more. Like, the blue one is non-contiguous, right?
What does that mean?
Non-contiguous, of course, means that it does not touch each other.
Right.
Right. So when I put it back up here, like, look, does he think this county's ever going to get a dispensary, or like these ones down here? Because like 3, not just spread out here, but here, or also here. And they also do it for this Iroquois County. That's what it says right there, Iroquois. So there's 2, but there's 2 that goes into this area.
So those highlighters are where they're allowed to have dispensaries?
No, the number is how many dispensaries. So this area here gets 4 dispensaries. All right, Chicagoland gets 47. So, but this area, 3,
yeah.
Then it skips and it goes down here, and then it skips and it goes up here, and this area 2, and all of a sudden it skips and it goes up there.
Is that because the population is sparse? What's the reasoning for such a large mass?
Yeah, I think it has to do with the populations, but also, it's just one of those things. It's a brand new law, so they really don't have rhymes nor reasons about how they're supposed to work.
But I thought that was supposed to be the whole, disenfranchised community type thing, where it's like, or is it because
that blue dot that I showed you? Those were the disenfranchised communities, the blue dots.
So those blue dots, is that going to be, if you're from that blue dot, you're more points, or if you're a place of business in the blue dot, more points?
If you're from the blue dot, if you're currently residing in the blue dots, you get more points.
Huh.
Yeah.
Or your employees, right?
If you have 10 or more, but that was something that was really, really interesting. And we can now deep dive and dig a little bit into the actual application itself. Here, you can access the application itself again by just going to it. And then zooming way in. So here's where they explain to you how the social equity works down here. And then we'll talk about that one that we were talking, that you said was like from the Matrix. The anonymous knowledge. The anonymous knowledge of experience and professional officers. Well, I think that anonymous thing was actually for them to not have to disclose that they've been committing crimes. So, you could, or it would also help with whoever is judging it. Imagine if they see it and they're like, oh, I know Phil. I play bowling with him every Thursday. And then they give Phil more points. So I think if they also have that being anonymous when they're judging those points, then they aren't unduly influencing the decision because of personal relationships. So it's got a protection against maybe any type of incrimination, because your experience in the cannabis industry may be completely lawful, but it may not be all that lawful.
So is the process going to be a blind judgment in the beginning? Like
I believe, they're trying to make it a blind judgment in the beginning so that it's really, really as most fair as it can be. And I'm just looking at the social equity applicant info. That's going to be exhibit. Where's the social equity applicant exhibit? Security exhibit P. So let's go to exhibit. Oh, I had to stream. Go to exhibit P real quick, and we'll zoom in on that. So that's right after the, okay, so this is really the meat and potatoes for how you become a social equity applicant. So it does a couple of things. It defines Illinois resident. So you only have to be an Illinois resident for 30 days before. Wow. So let's say you were arrested for cannabis, but then you moved, I don't know, to Colorado. Well, now I guess if you moved back in 30 days and you had an expungable offense, you would be a social equity applicant. But then you also have to go to this one. We'll go full screen here. Evidence of the 10 or more full-time employees. And so then you have to also provide evidence that the employees were engaging in full-time work as of the date the application was submitted. Yeah. So you basically need to, if you're a startup and you don't have full-time employees at the time that you're applying, you really need to partner with a social equity talent.
Well, this goes back to your point more about how you need money to start in this business, because as I was watching that Web Can Advisor one, they talked about this, where you need to have a payroll the day before or the day of you apply for your application, which involves money. You can't just say, oh, hey, come on over and I promise you I'll pay you.
I'm going to pay you in vibes, man. I'm going to pay you in vibes.
I got hugs and cookies, buddy.
That's right. But you're absolutely right. And then that's Exhibit O, financials, no page limit. So Illinois has got this hybrid, no page, but limited pages. So your anonymous knowledge, your Exhibit N, that's page limit of 3 pages per proposed principal officer. And a principal officer is a defined term under the statute as well. So that means that, you really only can have your cannabis experience and who you are and why you should be involved in the industry in Illinois. 3 pages. Your financial wherewithal, unlimited pages. Now I'm old fashioned. Here's what I want. I want the redacted screenshot from your Charles Schwab account that shows you sitting in a very liquid stock to the tune of over $1 million. Just there's the money. It's right there.
I mean, you got to have that backing, but back to the anonymous point too. I keep thinking about is what's to make it just not somebody to make some shit up. Just be like, yeah, I've been growing for 10 years in my house. Right. And, where's going to be the proof for that? I don't know. This is the biggest problem in the industry. As I've experienced, or some friends of mine with websites. Uh-huh. We had a website.
What was the name of that website, by the way?
Well, I call it the Brickweed blog.
The Brickweed blog. Yeah.
But it was the weed blog. And, my friends who were shitty businessmen got involved with this guy who had some money, not a very good actor, took over the website, gaslighted them, manipulated them into taking over the website. And, this website at its peak had 1 million unique hits a month. That was at its peak during early internet days. Now it's it's below there. It's up there with a Facebook page, but that the weight of the importance of it. But the fact is that the person that my friends invested with manipulated them so hard, and this is before you could look somebody up and find out what their background was or what their past experience was.
Right.
And now it's a simple Google search before I do.
Go to LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, well, not even just LinkedIn. I mean, especially still cannabis, a Google search. No one's going to be able to look up my name. Well, 5 years ago, you couldn't look up my name and associate with me cannabis. Now, if you Google my real name or Miggy420, it's all the same shit. We're doomed to not have a real job or whatever. But people have to look to see who they're doing business with. This anonymous thing, it sounds good, but it's kind of still a little gray area of people bending the words. I don't know.
Yeah. That's absolutely true, and that's one of the reasons why I think that security is so highly concentrated in the applications. And there's a lot about security. So you know what? Maybe we should bring the guest on. Yeah. And we could talk about how security is super important to your cannabis business.
With Security Tom.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, can you tell us about Umbrella Technologies?
Sure can. I think security is super important. Thank you so much for having me, everyone. So my name is Tom Carnival. I'm one of the founders of Umbrella Technologies. I've been doing security engineering, anything from software that resides on the surveillance cameras to physical layouts, risk analysis, even been involved in penetration testing for Global 100 organizations. So we design physical security infrastructure, from surveillance cameras to electronic door access control to putting sensors on your glass or your doors to monitor breakage or vandalism. We can tie some of these systems into business intelligence platform, which I think maybe we'll get to in a little bit, is how security and business intelligence, sales and marketing are going to kind of intertwine together. But ultimately, designing, engineering, supplying, and consulting business owners and startup companies their security needs, including their security plan for this big application, which is a whopping 50 pages.
Let me put that up there. Yeah, so you're talking about Exhibit H. Exhibit H, 50 pages.
And we recommend all 50 pages be filled out. Furthermore, there needs to be a security floor plan that needs to be designed. Now, a lot of these entrepreneurs and startup companies are going to maybe have a facility planned out so that maybe they can do, in any case, they're either going to be retrofitting a building or they're going to be, remodeling of some sort. So your walls, your inventory room, your check-in area, your man trap, your vault area, your server room, and your lounge and retail space all need to be designed and sectionalized and labeled with all the security technologies that you need for those environments.
Now, let's not forget, once that build out happens, they'll have to meet like IEEE specs, which I'm pretty sure you're in accordance with all the time.
Well, there's a lot more than just that. There's goes down to local low voltage laws, security monitoring laws, where not recording audio in specific places, but doing it in other specific places. How long, also a key ingredient is how long you need to retain storage.
Yep.
And in Illinois, in the medicinal facilities that we've worked with, it is 90 days of storage.
I believe that's what the adult use statute also provided. But we should work together on putting that thing because you have to make sure that your security plan complies with the statute. And they actually, on Exhibit H, when you're looking at the application, they reference Section 15-100 of the Act. And we've made a checklist at the office. That checklist for all these particular provisions of the Act, it's like 30 pages long. Sure. And that's not, to just copy and paste it in there, but it's to make sure that you just are checking off that you've addressed it, complying with this and complies with that. And then that's not all that the security plan contemplates. It also says a contract with a private security contractor licensed under Section 10-5 of the Private Detective, Private Alarm, Private Security, Fingerprint Vendor, and Locksmith Act of 2004, which raises the question, is Umbrella Technologies so recognized?
Yes, and so that is a very, so first and foremost, if you talk about private alarm, private investigator, and a locksmith, these are all different core competencies, right? So it is very, very rare to have one company hold all of those licenses, all meet all of those requirements, because typically you have your locksmith do your doors and your locks, then you have your security investigator kind of plan your security plan or your cash management system. And then you have your security engineering firm design the tech, like the cameras, the surveillance, the storage, the redundancy, the glass breaks, the alarm. And then there's another company that can do the alarms. And so what we've put together is a group of team members that all have these licenses, all have the experience, and all whom have worked under our umbrella, I guess pun intended, that can deliver all of these solutions. Because the alternative is, the way this is written, it frustrated me the second that I read it, because there is no company that exists that has all these core competencies. It just doesn't happen. Like they're all different types of businesses, but you need to have an overarching consultant, guide, monitor, risk analysis, all the different core, skill sets, because it's not just one.
Well, that's. I was going to say, hey, we had a question from one of the watchers. Engineering Cannabis asked, the security plans, does that include cybersecurity?
Oh,
I mean, you were just explaining that, but can you explain on it a little bit more as to how that all fits together? It's
so funny. So I'm a security guy. 10 years ago, when I told people that I was in security, they said, "Oh, are you a security guard? How many guns do you have?"
Oh, Jesus.
7 years ago, they said, "Oh, surveillance cameras," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do that too." And then for the past 3-4 years, whenever I tell someone I don't know I'm in security, they automatically assume that I'm a cybersecurity engineer. Again, this is a different core competency. Cyber elements, all of the security devices, like a surveillance camera, like a proximity card reader, or a biometric system, are all IoT devices that all need to be secured properly under a overarching cybersecurity plan. I host a podcast called Security in Focus, where I interview and we discuss the latest and greatest security technologies, best practices, and procedures. We interview anything from security directors of facilities to cybersecurity experts to directors of securities of healthcare facilities. We had one of the #1 leading cybersecurity hackers on last week, which we just posted on our show, talking how she infiltrates IoT devices and can get into Fortune 200, 100 companies through their surveillance cameras, and turn on their cameras, turn on their audio, and get all kinds of other information.
Yeah, and cybersecurity, depending on the question and how he's referring to it, like, you're not taking care of the guy's PCs that are in doing their seed-to-sale tracking and whatnot. You're taking care of the actual surveillance equipment that you've installed, maintaining up all the firmware and all the other updates in case, so that is prevented, right? And how long does your service continue on with that?
So you always want to have long-term service and maintenance with any kind of electronic security system. #1, it increases the life cycle of that investment. #2, it eliminates unpredictable costs. When you own a business, and I think all three of us in some way, shape, or form are entrepreneurs. The thing that I hate probably at the top of the list is surprise bills. I hate them. And so having a predictable service and maintenance that it's 8 o'clock at night before the busiest day of the season opens and security system is down, which therefore could get fines, due to not being in regulation, and having to pay a late time weekend charge for a security company to come in. That's something you wouldn't have to worry about if you have a service agreement in place.
Nice. And then you guys are just involved with the infrastructure security. Are you going to be involved in like the seed to sell RFID tracking type stuff eventually?
We are doing a lot of API integrations with not only seed to sale RFID, but point of sale, and then business intelligence solutions where you can create heat mapping from the surveillance cameras and understand where people go into your store, where they dwell,
Can I take that data?
Signage, where you can position new inventory.
I want that data. Can I have that data?
That's what this is.
Do you have that data?
Say again?
Do you have that data?
We aggregate that data for clients to deliver actionable insights for their business. So we don't own, and part of our agreement is we cannot sell that data. However, that is the service that that clients sign up for.
But that would be extremely advantageous because you can understand customer flows, the most popular times throughout the day, days where, or like times where it's really light. So you might want to have like some type of special, to keep people in. I mean, that's really advantageous information.
We can even do better than that. So we can also track demographics. We can track time dwelling in line. How long are people waiting in line? What are the ages? What are the customers, so that you can better profile doing sales and marketing after that. And in addition, there's even experimental technology we're working with that can identify mood. So what is the mood when Jane Smith comes into my store on a Wednesday afternoon? Well, she was a little bit down, but when she left, her face was a little bit, in her experience, and her posture was better. And so you can track that and tie it into customer engagement, and also time between the time someone enters your door and a customer service representative engages. What is the average statistics of that? So it's allowing business owners to make real business decisions by using surveillance.
No, that sounds like amazing tech. What now you're on the creepy side of things where you are actually using facial recognition, right?
Yeah, there's facial recognition. I'm actually more talking about more of anonymous facial recognition. So you will have that data from your point of sale transaction. In a dispensary-like environment, I don't necessarily right now see the need for facial recognition, other than if it's allowed, because honestly, there's a lot of legal debates in Illinois going on in facial recognition. I'm writing a long article on it.
Wow.
There's a lot of pushback from the federal government on the use of facial recognition for commercial organizations in the state of Illinois. So that is a very much gray area. But if you take and plus you get the identification from the point of sale. So if you can tie that in, you could have it anyway. But the marketing side of it is more anonymous, analytics.
Well, I think people get too worried about it when any camera has a potential to do facial recognition. You're just being productive into that one little environment where.
Well, no doubt. Yeah, this is designed to make customer experience improve, right? So to reduce time in line, reduce time before someone is engaged with, position products and marketing initiatives in more, predictable ways and more effective ways. And the best use of doing that is surveillance, which is seeing all things in your store.
And a lot of spaces. Oh, sorry, man.
I was going to say, I just didn't see the value add for data analytics marketing coming when you have your security agreement. Security, I'm thinking like I'm protecting myself and my employees and my product and my business from theft. I'm not thinking I'm also going to be getting actionable data so that I can create new offerings and maximize value to my customers. That aspects of it I didn't anticipate.
Well, you're using the security infrastructure that's regulated for any business owner in the state of Illinois to use. You're using that same technology and that same stream to aggregate data. So you're using that investment and getting that to force multiply. Furthermore, more and more people are turning off location services. There are, of course, companies that use mobile apps and Facebook and other technologies to identify traffic flow and clock in, clock out of locations, right? But more and more people, I'm turning off my location services specifically at specific times of the day, just because I don't want to be tracked all the time, right? And so Some people leave it off permanently. Some people forget that they even had it on, and it's just you're getting tracked all the time. So.
Well, and again, people forgetting things. It's like with the updates where I was talking about where the most flaws for hacking are because people don't update their goddamn things. You know, what's that security hotel hack that 90% of hotels still haven't updated their shit where a simple S RFID card can break into most rooms. No, I think it's amazing. You're right.
Let me expand on that. That's where I kind of start to geek out a little bit. So
yeah, well, I have some API questions. So welcome to Cannabis Legalization News, the Nerd Edition, where we geek out about all that is cannabis tech. Subscribe now.
I can hear the vaginas drying up now.
I love it. So what you were talking about, Miggy, was proximity card readers. So there's basically an RFID on the card and a chip, and that is communicating a protocol to a door controller in a broom closet somewhere that allows that credential to be opened or denied, accessed or denied. That protocol is 40 years old and hasn't changed, and it's called Wiegand. Okay. And so anybody with $1.95 can get a BLE key from Amazon and hack and infiltrate a proximity card reader in seconds, because all you need to know is the Wiegand protocol, which is on everywhere on the internet. And so that's a big problem in my world that I really try to fight against.
Well, and then, like as Tom was saying about the analytics that you're providing, I mean, you're just thinking next step above with security. I never thought about like, shit, you're already there. Might as well get this information.
Yep. We want more and more people to be using encrypted mobile devices for entry and exit so that they don't have to distribute like key fobs and these like thin little white cards.
Right.
More and more people are going to lose them. And what if they get into the wrong hands? Using mobile credentials for access, that you can keep a phone in your back pocket. It connects via Bluetooth, and you just touch the reader. It gives you access.
Wow.
And this allows the business owner to eliminate access from their phone. So
what about the smartwatch? Like my smartwatch unlocks my whole thing now. So, okay, that's awesome. Now let's turn this security marketing tech bus to APIs. So you mentioned that your Umbrella Technologies is integrating with other point of sale systems, and maybe did you guys also have integrations with CRMs? I'm not sure how much CRMs are being used, but
so that wouldn't
POS. Go ahead.
That you wouldn't need a ported API from the video surveillance system, because you already have that's coming from the POS database anyway. I don't see that's kind of maybe if you want redundancy, you could do that, but I would see that CRM tie-in going directly into the POS and the POS data being transcribed on the video surveillance footage. I think that would be the chain of custody that I would recommend users go with.
So when you say displayed on the video surveillance, like I'm not familiar with CRM.
Customer Relations Management System.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like admin shit that I just don't get involved in. So you're saying that the analytics would propagate onto the display video as the guy's watching his own security video?
That's right. Yeah. So
where is that sent to? It's mainline to where?
So good question.
Yeah.
So that script, that transaction is actually burned onto the video clip.
And I imagine this is all embedded in some sort of crypto that you have in case someone gets a hold of the servers or whatnot.
Of course, yeah. Everything's watermarked and encrypted. Absolutely.
That's pretty awesome. And then the servers are on the business establishment themselves, or you guys protect the servers?
They are. So we talked a little bit offline about cloud. Right now with the requirements and regulations and the state of the overall technology as it relates to professional grade surveillance systems, cloud surveillance is not a realistic cost and functionality for what I believe retail dispensaries need today. In fact, even the language in the law deters from it. It needs to be on-prem and readily accessible. Access control is a whole nother conversation. That can be hosted in the cloud. That can be created through, you can manage all of your employees and access control and doors. You can open a door at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday from your smartphone and let the cleaning crew come in. All of that can be done via cloud, but surveillance, a lot of resolution, still data, even with compressions like H.265 available. But with 90-day storage, it's not a realistic thing. I don't think retail customers should be paying $20 per camera per month. I just don't think that that's a viable solution.
And a server can hold months and months of shit. I imagine someone just doesn't care most of the time and just lets it fill up until they have to refresh it or whatever.
Well, you have to build in redundancy, and part of that technology ecosystem is not just putting it on the box, but it's making sure the specific drives are like data center drives so that they have a high read-write capability. It's having mirrored array, potentially even things like RAID 6 storage. Because this is important footage that is regulated, and so it's not like it's not a problem if footage, your hard drive crashes. This is a big deal.
Yeah. So the requirement here in Washington is the WSLCB, who's in charge of our program here. They actually have access to monitor from their headquarters.
Sure.
Is that the same thing here in Illinois? Is there going to be a one monitoring entity?
Yes. So the city of Chicago has what's called the Office of Emergency Management, and they have a 911 headquarters. If you haven't visited, I highly recommend it. It's an incredible feat, and most metropolitan cities have not been able to match what the Chicago 911 Center has. And so these are basically, imagine if you ever seen the movie Boiler Room, only 100 times larger, with people monitors being able to tap into retail establishments, cameras on street corners, even doing forensic rapid search where you can say, hey, I want to know what the I want you to show me all red pickup trucks. They can do video analytic algorithms and within a geographic space, pull the red pickup truck footage from every single camera.
So like when I watch Person of Interest, that shit's really real.
Very, very something that we do. We do with cities, absolutely.
Yeah. So just be careful about that, everybody, and just be lucky you're not in China. It's worse in China. But if you do anything, you're just asking to get caught. I mean, or at least recorded.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, China is a whole other rabbit hole I can go down with you. That was actually the first podcast episode I did. It was entitled China's Influence on American Security, and how the two major security camera manufacturers. Actually, this might be a good thing for awareness because not enough of the general population knows this. And it's something we talk about on a weekly basis. So the two largest security camera manufacturers in the world, in volume, in space, and revenue, one of which have just recently been sanctioned by the federal government and banned for all government use and a lot of even commercial use in the United States. Some of the reason for that is the number one manufacturer called Hikvision is 51% owned by the Chinese government.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, a government employee sits on the board and runs this surveillance camera manufacturing company that has facial recognition, which is what causes all the issues of and so they've also been discovered. Actually, Forbes and the New York Times discovered this several months ago, that this company was involved in slave labor camps. That where if because it is a communist government still in China, people don't understand.
70 years strong,
right? And so when you diss the government in China, you can get sent to this concentration camp to be re-educated.
Okay, or your organs are harvested and you never come back.
Exactly. So these camps have tons and tons of security, which was all designed by Hikvision.
Oh shit.
Okay. So these same two companies, Hikvision and Dahua, have been there have been not only cyber vulnerabilities from turning on the audio and recording the audio offline, essentially espionage, right?
Sure.
To built-in peer-to-peer phone home algorithms and just mass vulnerabilities galore with cyber issues with these camera manufacturers. But the other problem is that there's dozens and dozens of companies that private label these Chinese manufacturers' cameras and relabel it as their own.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know which is the banned camera, which is the vulnerable camera, which is the camera that can turn on audio over the internet. And that's something that a security insider, I think, can help guide you with. And that's what
it sounds like espionage has never been easier. or like, your chain of custody has never been clearer. It's never been so simple to get caught doing literally everything you're doing.
100%.
Well, you remember years ago, I think it was the handy cams. One of them had embedded malware in it that once you plug in your computer, and, it was able to put itself into your computer because you had to connect your computer to fucking get your video.
That's right.
Even when I used to work at Raytheon, little IC chips, because sometimes you had to vet your employers. And sometimes the bean counter was like, oh, no, these ones are cheaper. Let's go with these cheaper ones. Without even asking. And it would have embedded bad code on it already.
Right.
Wow.
People are still surprised that China's it's a requirement for China to own a percentage of a company that does business with them. When people are praising Alibaba for fucking doing so well, it's because the government owns it. It has nothing to do with that guy who made it.
Well, what about Huawei?
Yeah.
Is Huawei making any of these components that you have to use in your security system?
Yeah, Huawei, yes. So they make digital signal processors. They make SOCs, software on a chip that goes in some of these cameras, that goes in also smartphones, that goes in all kinds of electronic devices that we use every day. They were the #1 target by the U.S. government was Huawei. Other people know them as high silicon, and they took over the market rapidly in a 6-year space by basically putting all the software, all the intelligence, all on a chip. So product manufacturers had their cost to market reduced dramatically, and so they were put in all the GoPros in the world. They were put in all surveillance camera, a ton of surveillance cameras. And
these chips were made by a Chinese company that's owned by the Chinese government.
100% right.
I can see why people would be a little bit nervous.
Well, even now, I always tell Tom, this is my frustration with as American citizens, we're kind of lazy about things that are fucked up in our country. Because right now you have people flooding the streets in Hong Kong. Or even in Kiev, over the democracy. And as a cannabis activist, we've been just shouting, Tom and I, for 10 years that, hey, free all these people that are in jail who haven't done anything.
Right.
It's a medical, now it's legal in our nation's capital. When's everybody else going to get pissed off? But yeah,
something new.
Yeah. But security is definitely a threat. It's definitely something that is always in the back of our minds. Hell, I take off the little sticker on my cam here. When we do this every Wednesday. Yep. So I'm sure you do, just like you said, you turn off your own location.
Absolutely. We do a lot of other cyber areas here, but I think a big thing that we run into in mass markets, and with this big initiative and so little applications available, but so many people want a big or a slice of the pie, is we're basically talking to the consumer market who thinks they know security via the marketing of companies like Ring and Google and Amazon. When I started in security 18 and a half years ago, a home security camera system was very expensive.
Yep.
Okay. It was very expensive. And then, when Google bought Dropcam Google bought Nest bought Dropcam for $500 million, and that was 8 years ago. The market exploded. Then Amazon bought Ring and all these other little startup companies, which are basically just little. Some of them have high silicon chips in them as well.
Just helping them steal. We're just helping them steal.
Exactly. Yeah. And so there's just these little, basically a step above your computer's webcam put on your front door with a little bit of, software integration with APIs. But that is not a professional surveillance camera system. Those cameras look really great when you're a foot away from them, pushing the doorbell. But having a camera up in the corner and wanting to identify people all the way on the other side of a room, there's light, there's all these kinds of different elements, and the sensor sizes are also much larger with professional surveillance cameras. And you can manage video and include other things like access control and alarms and glass break sensors. There's just such a big misunderstanding between what a commercial security system is for retail versus what's good for my home front door camera. And that's something we also
bean
fight
counters. And people always overestimate what they think they know, and they always try to discount all the costs.
That's right.
You know, and so because of that, they asked me like, well, I can read. I don't need a lawyer. I'm like, that's fine. You know, they'd probably be like, well, I can go buy a $600 thing from Costco and then just rig that up, and I have video surveillance. Why do I need all this other stuff? I'll go.
Or
get
they
my
have a
buddy.
cousin Eddie that can do it for them.
Or they have who? They have a buddy?
They have a cousin Eddie. You know,
They have a buddy, yeah. And so, like, my buddy's a lawyer. I had him look at this. I'm like, what's he do? Oh, product liability, but not too much anymore. I'm like, okay, great. So yeah, all right.
Plus, he's not invested. I mean, the 9-page application you guys have already proves that, you know, speaking you two, having a professional lawyer and a professional security person, you know, all these requirements that are in that application, you bang for your buck. You want to go that way if you're going to get involved in this shit, period.
And that's actually a really good point back to the application, is because this line that they put in with the regulations, it's listing all these different security licenses and competencies. And it's just like with you know, attorneys. There's one that practice intellectual property law, others practice real estate law, others are criminal defense. And so with security, they're listing 8 different components. Now, I would be lying to any one person if I told them that I can do private investigations and fingerprints for them. I don't know how to do that. But because I'm in the security industry and I'm a veteran of nearly 20 years, I know the local people whom I've worked with, and that's why building this team to attack this vertical market was so key for us. Because we have the best in breed, down to the dollar and cents, optimized for these new entrepreneurs that come into the market.
So then one of your clients, then because they have to sign that contract, like I said, like the security company are the only ones who's literally in its exhibits calling for you to have that. Like they don't have to hire
all of the licenses that are underneath our contract.
Yeah, but it's right there in the statute that you need that contract with a company like yourself. Yeah. Are you also going to help these people, these applicants, in the drafting of their 50 pages of security plan?
We are. From the design, build, layout to, which is an important area, to their cash management process. What is their culture of security? Plan with training employees, how to use customer service.
How do you find that intersects then? Because a lot of the operational consultants will say that they can help with these types of security plans. And then you touched on various other areas where security is important, and it gets into that, like, for example, your employee training program. But how are you interacting with other cannabis consultants to put together those applications?
We talk to a lot of them. And so usually the conversations go like this. Oh, you're an expert in that. Well, we do the whole application for companies. And and so the conversations are typically short, some because they think they know it all. But unfortunately, to the applicant, that might not be best served. We do have other partnerships where we are a subcontractor to them, because 50 pages is a lot of content that is solely dedicated to the security plan and accounts for 26% of your points towards being awarded, which is a lot. I mean, basically, if you get it wrong, you're not gonna get approved.
That's a huge chunk.
Yep, it's more than social equity.
Right. And I was, and again, as I was telling you earlier before the camera, was welcome to Cannabis, because I think it's great that you're an auxiliary company. It has nothing to do with marijuana, but decide, you know what, I'm willing to go put my name out there, my company's name, my face, and say, hey, I'm willing to work with you and help with this security plan. It's great to see you here, even as a non-consumer of cannabis. I think it's great.
I'm really glad you said that, Miggy. Earlier this year, I wrote an article that maybe I'll get you guys to share. The security industry, there's still a big majority that want nothing to do with this space.
It's the same with all the industries. It's the same with legal. They don't want anything to do with it. So, like, here's the big issue that I have. A lot of the cannabis discrimination cases, they're plaintiffs, and so they're worried about discrimination on either their employer or their landlord side. And they'll Google it and they'll find me. And I'm like, I can make a referral, but a lot of the plaintiff employee discrimination attorneys that I know, they aren't touching it because it's still cannabis.
Yeah. We are knocking on 2020, and it is a different world. And, it's just like anything else. people can either get stuck in the past and worry about how perception, or they can focus on results and bring value. And I think that's really what the name of the game is people that are focusing on execution versus worried about how people will see them. So
no, that's pretty awesome, dude. I really appreciate you just saying, hey, here's another market, period.
We've been doing it for a few years now. We started with some growing in facilities. We've done some hemp extraction laboratories. We've done some growing facilities as well, both indoor and outdoor, which is very completely different designs and threats that they have. And then we've done some medical dispensaries as well as some legal outside the state of Illinois. So it's something, it's just like any other business. And I think because of what's going on with the media and everything else, it's a high risk business is the way I see it. And it's people that really need to be secured and need help, and they need to understand how this works. So I don't think there's anything else other than that.
I don't know if you're involved in any farms. How would you do actual surveillance for a farm, like acres and acres of land? How does that work?
Light and audio. So so motion sensors that can detect human or animal motion versus something blowing leaves on a tree, but physical motion activity. And then as soon as that is ignited with lights, and then sometimes we even put pre-programmed audio sirens or pre-recorded statements saying intruder alert, or if they want to play some jazz music or something like that, anything they want to do to catch. Because typically there's only one thing that happens once that light and that audio goes on is they run. And so that tied in with potentially solar infrastructure with 3G, 4G connections for remote monitoring is the way to go, and potentially fencing. It depends on the landscape, but every system is different.
Are you guys planning to do an update to the 5G?
I mean, we're going to use whatever carrier has the best throughput, right? So of course, yeah.
Yeah, it never stops. You're in a technological industry now, and because of that, like it sounds like you're in this business that saw a new cash flow in the cannabis space, but then also saw another new cash flow in the data space that it was gathering for its cannabis clients.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's what I hope in the next 5 years this turns into, is this merger of security and business intelligence, because so many people want to be more effective in physically coming outside of your home or off your phone, buying and creating positive shopping experiences outside of the internet is not just the cannabis world's problem. It is the retail industry's problem with stores like Toys R Us closing its doors nationwide last year before Christmas, right? This is still a threat. This is still a retail threat, even though we're having, a quote unquote gold rush to the 75 golden tickets here in Illinois. There's still retail businesses, and e-com is going to circumvent some way, shape, or form. And that should be still risk number one. How can we create a better customer experience from fulfillment to engagement? And you can do that with security technologies.
Yeah. It's like we said, the analytics alone can help your customer just plan a day.
The e-com is definitely there. I can buy on my dispensary's website and then just go pick it up.
That's right.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So are you guys gonna be doing delivery too? Like, do you guys ever do any transportation involvement with security or anything?
That's part of our dream team. Yeah.
Okay.
The dream team is the folks that do the armed guard cash management systems. Yeah.
Yeah, because they do not allow the delivery of cannabis flower under the statute in Illinois yet.
Yeah.
But
delivery. Yeah. No, we're so cash management on armed guards is also part of the security plan. That's very important. And
what about the transportation of the cannabis itself?
Very good question. I mean, there's mobile camera systems, there's body-worn camera systems that you could use as dash cams. We have technologies actually that are very cost-effective. For $500, you can get a mobile body-worn camera. You could wear it on your person. You could dock it on a docking station on your dashboard and use it as a dash cam. It's encrypted at the edge as well, and so you have to have a username and password and a specific login with a serial key to plug it into its main docking device to even extract the data. But that's something that would be a really cost-effective solution for someone who's transporting it, and also records audio as well.
We'll see the transport license here after the first of the year, but it wouldn't surprise me if that also requires, I know it'll require a security plan, but it may also require a contract with a company like Umbrella Securities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How many states are you
Umbrella
in?
Technologies.
Umbrella Technologies.
There you go.
You got it.
Yeah.
How many states are you in, Thomas?
New Jersey, California, Seattle, Colorado, Texas, Arizona, and Florida.
Nice.
Are those all cannabis related, or?
So those are projects we have either done cannabis growing facilities, medical, or consulting design work.
Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, we have a nice customer base in outside LA too. But we're not like an ADT. Now we're a business to business, pretty specific security technology firm, and so we're not we're not going to be like US Cellular that has the brands. We're not going to market like that because we're very, very B2B.
You're not ADT. You're not the little sign saying we're protecting. No, you're just providing the tools and the analytics for the customer to decide for themselves how they want to perform their business, which is pretty awesome, dude.
That's right.
And they're helping with 26% of the points. I mean, the security plan, that's heavy.
26%.
Well, I could bring up the actual scoring on the FAQ itself, but
still a quarter of the points. Come on, that's crazy. I mean, it's great for you.
Well, of course, but I mean
that's the social equity part. That's what I'm comparing it to. It's like, why can't that part be a little bigger?
And I saw that the history and performance of the entrepreneur was only what 3 pages or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was only like 3 pages. The
there seems like
it's security and record keeping, 65 points. Yep. So 65 out of 250. I mean, 26%, like you said.
But hey, Thomas, lawyer Tom, the social equity program though, that includes a loan, right? If you fill out and
if you qualify for it, that you would be eligible to apply for those types of loans. You don't have to have them. The social equity aspects of the application were listed as optional, as opposed to required. So it doesn't change your proof of your financials and your financial evidence that you could give. That's an unlimited page number as well. So if you have the social equity points, but absolutely zero money, and you haven't, you have the Costco surveillance system as your security plan, and you spent $20,000 putting together your entire application, I just don't know how. I mean, you'll get your social equity points, but I just don't know how many of the other points you'll pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, 20K is not what you want to start a business with.
No, especially not in the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
You have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we figured what, $500,000 for a decent small craft?
Oh no, for like craft grows, it really depends. I mean, the craft grows, you could make those. You could make a $10 million building a craft grow. I mean, think about it. You could make a $10 million bar if you wanted. How capitalized are you? What is your business model? How does this look? What are you employing? There's all these questions that you can ask, but how adequately capitalized are you? If you're really trying to find out which one of the craft grows are going to be the cheapest ones that was approved, we'll find out in 2020. So we'll find out next fall.
Yeah. Crazy. Hey, I gotta wrap it up here.
Gotta wrap it up. It's just so much fun as it goes by, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I learned a lot though with the analytics stuff. That's crazy. And it's creepy.
Before we go, Tom, can you tell us where we can follow Umbrella Technologies?
Sure. Our website is umbrellaTech.co. Our Twitter is UmbrellaSYS. You can find us on Instagram at Umbrella_Technologies. And if you Google or search on Facebook, we're there too. But yeah, Umbrella Technologies is the best place to start is our website, is umbrellaTech.co.
Hey, Miggy.
I
Where
think
do we find you? I think so.
Yeah, weednews.co.
And I hope to see all of you guys at the Illinois Cannabis Summit in 2 weeks on October 4th.
I will be there.
All right, and come say hi to Tom. And
yeah,
Tom.
I'm actually speaking. I'm speaking. I'm one of the speakers. So my topic is going to be cannabis security systems from application to door opening. We're going to talk about what it costs for these security systems. We're going to talk about the application plan and everything in between. So I will be an exhibitor and I will be speaking at that event. I will see you there.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
And if you need anything, come say hi to us at that, and also Google Cannabis Lawyer. Peace out, everybody. And I think we're now out.